guys, I wanted to clarify something else, and it's about Viktor Gyökeres. For Viktor Gyökeres, we are having many rumors on a deal getting closer between Arsenal and Sporting as of tonight. I'm told that tonight there are still no changes. Nothing has changed between Arsenal and Sporting for Gyökeres. There is no advanced conversation or advanced negotiation to get a deal done between clubs. We know that Gyökeres and Arsenal are in discussions, have been in discussions for weeks, because Gyökeres is one of the main targets for Arsenal this summer, but at the moment still nothing has advanced between clubs. We know there is still this war ongoing between the agents of Gyökeres and Sporting to understand the final price of the player, and that's the point, guys. The price has to be clarified before Arsenal go to the table and try to close the deal with Sporting. So let's be patient. As of today, still nothing has changed, but Gyökeres remains a target for Arsenal, a topic for Arsenal. Then we will see how this conversation will go with Sporting. On Viktor Gyökeres and Manchester United, also, guys, remember that the priority of Viktor Gyökeres would be to go to Arsenal because of Champions League football, but he never rejected Manchester United. But what's the point for United? The price is really important for them, because now, as of today, their focus is on closing the Bryan Mbeumo deal as soon as possible. Man United are in the process for that, and then in terms of budget, it's going to be important to understand how much they can spend on the striker, because it's also going to be important to understand what happens with Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho. All these players have to go, and so for Man United to understand how much they will get from these players, Anthony too is going to be crucial to understand the budget for the striker. Another player, and this is Eberechieze. For Eberechieze, I told you over the weekend there was a contact between Arsenal and the agents of the player. The story has been confirmed basically everywhere, but that story is important because Arsenal are working on the Eberechieze deal. The talks are concrete. What I can tell you today is that also the player is opening doors to Arsenal. The player is keen on the move to Arsenal, is excited by Arsenal project, he would be keen on joining Arsenal, so Eberechieze is something concrete for the Gunners. Contact with the agents is a separate topic and story from Noni Madueke. For Madueke, they didn't send any proposal. They had some conversations to understand the situation 1 week ago. For Eberechieze, they started talking about the conditions of the deal with with Crystal Palace and with the player side. Tottenham at the moment are not advancing for Eberechieze because they are focused on Mohamed Kudus, and so keep an eye on Arsenal and Eze because the player is keen on the move and the conversation is ongoing. So Eberechieze, a name we have to keep in the list as per the story from a few days ago for Arsenal. On Arsenal today, guys, many questions from the fans on Christian Mosquera's situation because Valencia have offered a new deal to Christian Mosquera with an important salary. My understanding, guys, is that Christian Mosquera's desire is very clear. Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. Christian Mosquera wants to play for Arsenal. Now it's on Valencia and Arsenal to reach an agreement on the transfer fee. The first bid, 15 million euros, got rejected. Arsenal will be back to the table with a new proposal. So for sure the conversation will continue, club to club, for Mosquera, and the desire of the player is to go to Arsenal. Now, Valencia can try their efforts, of course, is maximum respect for the club, but my feeling is that Christian Mosquera is leaning towards a move to Arsenal. So that's my understanding, that's my feeling, and we will see what's going to happen there. But for sure, the attraction of Arsenal project for this player too is something very strong, and so it's going to be complicated, I think, for Valencia to convince Mosquera to stay at the club. Then the channel, I told you last week that Arsenal are considering a move for Madueke. From that point, I'm told that nothing has changed today. So many stories today, but the reality is that Arsenal have not sent any proposal to Chelsea as of today. Arsenal have not sent any contract proposal to the player. They just had talks to understand the situation of the player last week. So Madueke is one of the names in the list. But at the moment, still nothing has changed in terms of negotiations yet for Noni Madueke. But especially if Madueke decides to leave Chelsea in the summer transfer window, or if Chelsea decide to sell the player, Chelsea...
And you mentioned Eberechieze, who is being linked with a possible return, actually, to Arsenal, because he was an academy kid at Arsenal.
Yeah. He should remember that they snubbed him before. So let's remember that, Eberechieze. Come on, let's not just rule out Spurs yet.
He's one of those who, I mean, he's great on the ball, isn't he? He excites you, but does he do enough? Even though in flashes it's really exciting, but is he consistent across a game enough for a team like Arsenal? I mean, when he's played for England in flashes, wow! Yeah. But does he do enough throughout the game?
I think it's a really valid question, and when I've got my nerd hat on, when you know that I'm talking tactics, and I've already been doing my research ahead of the new season around people like Eze, wherever he goes, because I watched him at the Tottenham Stadium for Palace in the build-up. It was the week before the cup final last year, and I hadn't seen him live for about 6 months or so. and I couldn't believe how quick he was. I think it's really underestimated how fast he is because he's that sort of dribbler, and he does check back, he does beat people with a bit of skill. So I'm not buying it from a lot of Arsenal fans that he's not the right fit for their left winger to replace Martinelli because he's not quick enough. He might not be the right fit because he goes inside and he runs in that Declan Rice channel, and Arteta likes rigid players in rigid places, but you can't tell me he's not an upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli. I mean, if we're talking 60, 65 million pounds, again, Palace, I think it's 68. It's quite a complicated deal because they owe money to previous clubs that have got sell-on clauses and whatever. His contract goes until next year, or a year and a half from, no, so it's 2 years from now, sorry. But again, 14 goals, 11 assists.
Cup hero.
Cup hero. And I feel bad for Palace because it's almost like they're being picked apart. It's like Brentford, Bournemouth, and Palace are getting completely picked by the Lions at the top of the table. But look, he is, for me, he is one of, if not the most exciting players in the Premier League to watch. And I think, other than perhaps Liverpool, he just slots straight into every single side. He's that good.
We mentioned in last Friday, Sunsport mentioned that Arsenal's man Andrea Berta had made contact with Eze's representatives, and he's also presumably quite busy trying to sort out whether they can ever get Sesko, Gyökeres. Where do you think Arsenal are with those two?
Well, it's now Ekitike as well, apparently. Oh. I mean, that's good. Let's move on to number 3. So
have they given up on Sesko and Gyökeres?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Arsenal are playing the field, I think it's fair to say, with the strikers. And these, the 3 that they're talking about, so Gyökeres, Sesko, and now Ekitike. I love a palindromic name, so Ekitike, another one for the Premier League, the nerds like me. But so let's just go through him. So 23 years old, 22 goals last year, and again I watched him score a rather good one for Frankfurt against Spurs.